say, look, the man's 78 years old, Joe Biden, all right? He obviously does not have control over what he's saying. And you can coach him all day long. It's not going to matter. Here's the deal. The fact of the matter, the fact, it's like, what are you saying? He doesn't have control over what he's saying. So Americans are going to have to make a decision. Do we want our leader to be inarticulate and perhaps in a daze, or do we want a guy who's been pretty darn effective in the economy and some foreign affairs stuff, even though a lot of Americans don't like Donald Trump? So that's a decision people are going to have to make.
So I'm just looking at what you're saying here is, to me, the only reason that I think that Joe Biden gets any votes in a general election right now, it's not going to be based on his record. It's not going to be based on his high ethical standards. It's not going to be on his oratory skills. I don't think I think it's going to be I hate Donald Trump versus Donald Trump.
That's true. The essence of this election is about Donald Trump.
Okay,
and
so what are the numbers in the country? Now, did those numbers last night and in every primary and caucus state so far? Donald Trump has been setting record turnout. Records.
Absolutely.
What does that tell us?
Fan base, which I put at 45%. But, this coronavirus, this could cut into that. Because the economy, we got to watch that. But let's just say today, if the vote were held today, 45% of the electorate going to vote for Donald Trump today, in my opinion, my humble opinion, my simple man opinion. Now, all Donald Trump needs is 5% more to peel off. Now, that's a tough road for Biden to walk, but he does have corporate media on his side. You know that. They're going to just bludgeon Donald Trump from now until November. And whatever Biden does is going to be the greatest thing in the world. Joe got off the mat. Joe couldn't get off the mat if there was a crane. All right? He didn't do anything. I mean, it was lucky that Clyburn came in and gave him the seal of approval. And that ignited Joe Biden. Plus, Bernie Sanders, come on. I mean, really? Bernie Sanders, an atheist socialist, this is a guy that's going to be representing the United States? No.
Let's not gloss over, though.
Here's something else we haven't talked about. Bernie Sanders' supporters are as rabid as Donald Trump's supporters. There's just fewer of them. Are they going to vote for Joe Biden?
It's a great question. There's no indication last night.
If they lose 12 to 20% of Sanders supporters who don't show up, that's it. Donald Trump's got it.
I don't want to gloss over your comments about Corona. Now, if you look and you go back and you compare, and you followed H1N1, the swine flu, as I did, and it took them, they never implemented a travel ban. While there was, I think the Homeland Security did announce an emergency to yield some funding for stopping it. A national emergency by the president was 6 months later after 1,000 Americans had died and 20,000 Americans contracted the disease. The difference then versus now is Donald Trump in 3 weeks from the week we identified, January 7th is when we identified Corona. January 31st, he had a travel ban in place, and Americans returning from the region were quarantined for 2 weeks. I would argue thousands of Americans likely were prevented from contracting the virus as a result of those very bold steps very quickly, never been as fast ever. But they didn't weaponize the virus against Biden and Obama in 2009 and 2010. They are doing that with Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And there's another difference, and that's social media. So social media is hysterical now. If you go down to the mall and you ask people about the virus, if you cough in Macy's, 5 guys grab you and throw you out in the parking lot.
By the way, Bill, why do you think I'm not in the same studio as you right now? I don't know if you have Corona or not.
No, but you don't want to be compared to me because I'm so tall and handsome.
I want to get back to the coronavirus because the president acted very quickly. He's not getting any credit for it. Quicker than anybody else. When he took the travel ban and put that in place within 3 weeks of identifying the virus, Joe Biden's reaction is that's xenophobic. CNN fake news, their reaction was we are stigmatizing people from other countries. And that never happened with H1N1, swine flu, when Biden was vice president, Obama's president. National emergency officially declared 6 months after 1,000 Americans died, 20,000 contracted the disease. Those are facts. Why aren't the facts being told by anybody except people like me and you?
Because the media doesn't care about the facts anymore. There's no straight reporting. But I don't even think Americans are going to care about that. I think at this point, most people have confidence that the federal government's doing what it should do. I think that encompasses liberals, too. It's only the kooks and the hate Trumpers and the corrupt media that's peddling, they're not doing what they should do.
All right, not to interrupt you, but just for the sake of time. All right, let's imagine we're going to start closing school districts. Let's imagine teleworking is encouraged by Dr. Fauci and others. Let's imagine real panic starts setting in. We can see the beginnings of it, whipped into a frenzy by the media.
Right.
What happens then?
It all has to do with the economy. If people's money and wallets and work is not affected, I don't think it will put Donald Trump out of office. But if the economy does go into recession quickly and people get laid off, then it's going to be a benefit to the Democrats. So the economy is the big thing. I don't think Americans are going to blame Donald Trump for the virus, no matter how the panic rises.
But it's impacting the economy now, Bill. I mean, we could see it. There's no doubt it will have a short-term impact at least.
It has impacted the stock market, but it's up big again today. It's up and it's down. It's in and it's out. It depends on layoffs, and it depends on recession. So, it's a challenge, and I'm looking forward to your interview with Donald Trump tonight. And I know you're going to ask him about this, whether he's worried about the economy and how it's going to be impacted by the virus. But I don't think Americans are going to blame the president for this, no matter how the corrupt press tries to spin it.
All right, BillO'Reilly.com, all things O'Reilly, the simple man that he is. Bill, thank you. We'll check in next week, 800-941-SEAN, if you want to be a part of this post-Super Tuesday edition of the Sean Hannity Show. President Trump on Hannity tonight.
And in Arkansas, the result is too early to call. Please note, Biden with 59% of that 1%, Bloomberg with 22% of the 1%. We'll go back and listen to Mike Bloomberg, who is, fair to say, not having the night he thought he paid for, not having the night he was hoping for.
Yikes. Lion Brian. Anyway, 25 till the top of the hour. It looks like it's Biden's to lose. Look, anything can kind of happen. There's still plenty of delegates out there available. There's 3,129 delegates in total before you get to the second ballot, and the super delegates and the real establishment could then weigh in and help on any way they possibly can. By the way, it looks like they're going to spend $7.7 billion to fight the coronavirus. I really can't believe how you weaponize and politicize a virus. Pretty unbelievable. Anyway, so to get the nomination outright, you need 1,991 delegates to win. There's 3,129 delegates left. You basically have to win two-thirds, little less than two-thirds. And, all right, so now you've got Biden with a, less than 100 delegate lead, but he seems to have the momentum with him. But we've had a lot of momentum shifts all throughout this process. And I think then a lot is going to be riding on, all right, well, how does he stand up? Look, the one thing that I think you can say is very obvious is Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe's kind of a good nickname the president gave him. He just doesn't seem to have the strength, the stamina, the energy that is required for this job. And it looks like he's worn out half the time, which, then raises the questions about all these nutty things that he's saying. And he's saying them now daily. It's not an occasional gaffe. It's a daily gaffe. I put out a tweet last night. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 1,000, how frightening is this getting? And then, of course, you have the hate Trump people. Yeah, well, Donald Trump, he speaks at the rally. Okay, Donald Trump's going off the cuff, and he's riffing for 2 solid hours at the highest energy level of anybody. I don't see that kind of energy with Joe Biden. I don't see anybody excited about voting for Joe Biden. I think everybody's looking, I guess we'll have to say good things about Biden. I don't think there are 15 people in the Democratic Party that have confidence in Joe Biden today. I think a lot of them are scared to death of his gaffes. A lot of them are scared to death on the corruption now and what fruit that might bear in Ukraine. And similarly with the U.S. Senate now, Ron Johnson's committee digging down deep into quid pro quo Joe, zero experience Hunter, the millions paid, the shakedown, the fire the prosecutor, leveraging U.S. tax dollars to do it, $1 billion of them. Then he's got his record to run on. And then you've got the success of Donald Trump and promises made and promises kept. And America's going to have a big philosophical choice to make, and that is, what direction do we want to go in as a country? And the first thing I'd ask is, why would you want to go back to what they gave us? We've had Biden 8 years. We've watched the Biden-Obama foreign policy. Why they ever would give $150 billion to mullahs in Iran is beyond any comprehension that I have. But that seems to be the MO of a lot of Democrats. That's what Clinton did with Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father. And that didn't bear any fruit. The mullahs, they're still saber rattling and still chanting death to America. And not exactly effective there. Okay, they made the call to get bin Laden. I'll tip the hat to them for making that call. Reports that Biden didn't support that call, but that's separate and apart. Okay, but give them a tip of the hat. But they wouldn't have had the intelligence but for the enhanced interrogations of the Bush years. That's a fact, too, because we know from people that we've interviewed that were in the room, only 3 people got enhanced interrogations, and one was KSM, and that's where he started talking about the courier and the communication with bin Laden, and that's how bin Laden communicated. They identified the courier. They followed the courier to Pakistan, and there he was. And thank God we got him. Mike, Florida, how are you? We'll be watching you closely in 244 days, sir. The Sunshine State. What's going on?
Hey, Sean, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. I'm
having a great day.
I'm a listener, and I finally have a success story that I can feel worthy of calling in to you to share with you, because you had a part to do with it.
Okay, I want to hear about it.
I met my wife in England during a TDY, temporary duty over to England, 1980. And we've been married for over 39 years.
Good for you.
She never wanted to give up her British citizenship, but because in large part watching you, she got Hannitized several months ago, and watching you and your network and the things you guys have been highlighting and making her understand how important Trump's presidency is and how important it is to keep him in America as the president, to keep America great. She has decided to become an American citizen. And she passed her test last Tuesday, and the 19th, she's going to be an American citizen for the sole purpose of voting for President Trump for our grandkids. And on top of that, my daughter-in-law is from the Philippines, and about a month ago, she became an American citizen for the same reason. And I want to thank you for being such a great American and helping people see the real truth.
It is amazing. Look, I think it's human nature. We always take good things in our life kind of for granted, and sometimes you're more introspective or reflective in life. And when you think of all the great things in your life and the blessings you have in life, we don't wake up every day with our busy schedules and all the jobs we do and all the people we end up taking care of and helping on a given day. Say, I'm in the freest, greatest, best country God gave man. I don't wake up that way every day. You just go about your grind and you work hard. But when you reflect and you compare and you contrast, wow, we really do live in the greatest country God gave man. We have been so blessed in this country. The reason this country has been so successful is because of freedom. And you're describing a story about your wife of 39 years and how much she loves this country. People that come from other countries into this country and have come from countries that are far more restrictive and oppressive, countries that even promised health care, national health services, Great Britain. You mentioned Great Britain. Okay, well, they actually say, oh, you need a new knee, hip? Oh, you passed your age of life expectancy, go home. Sort of like the Michael Bloomberg, the farmer plan on health care. Oh, you're 95. We're not going to take care of you. Go home. See your family. You're dead. I don't trust government. there's a natural appeal and that's why this battle is always never ending and ongoing. This is what I think Reagan meant when he said that freedom is but one